Hey Dave, this is Jack. Hey, sorry about that. We don't know what happened, so we're going to try to recording this again. So when you get into this, what it ends up doing is you'll see that it's reading my calendars. That's my calendar, and you can see each of the meetings in the calendar. This isn't quite done yet, but what we're going to be doing is the calendars, that the items that have recordings associated with the background, instead of being white, is going to be light purple. That should hopefully that shows up next week. At the top here, you have 8/16. That's today. If I go there, it goes to the left, it goes the next day. If I go back to the previous days here, we're going to have a date picker here. Just so you know from where we're at, we release on September 15th. That's actually when it gets done. We've got probably like 3 main things. I'll explain at the end what we're doing here, but it's not completely done, so just kind of follow along what I'm saying here. Now, ultimately, you'll be able to double-click on this meeting. That's going to happen next week, and it'll open the meeting up. That doesn't work today, but if you hit the plus sign, it will. Let me go with the rest of the screen, though. So essentially, across the bottom, you're looking at the calendar. That's the calendar integration. If I go to the history page, what it'll end up doing is tell me how many pending items and how many submitted items. The pending ones are the ones that you can do a recording, and you don't have to submit it right at that time. Submitted ones go up, and that's when they get transcribed, and that's also get stored up in your system on the server. We don't save everything on your iPhone. It saves up in the cloud for you. If I click on submitted items, it'll show me all the different meetings I've had here. I'm going to go back to the calendar. Now again, up here we have it's how you get to a new meeting, and that's what we're going to do here in just a second. On the left side you have these 3 bars, and next week that's going to roll out, and that's going to be where the profile is. So if I hit the plus button, it comes up, and this is my actual meeting. This is what you'll see for each meeting. This is called the timeline view, and if I turn the recording on, it starts recording for me. And so I can go in here and say this meeting was with David and Jack, and the first topic we talked about was kind of the calendar view and the history, and then after that we talked about the timeline view, or actually the meeting details view, and we talked about the timeline. And I'm going to set an action item that we're going to get this video ripped and up on YouTube for you. And we're going to take a quick picture here. So we're going to take a quick picture of the screen. And now you've got that all in there. So essentially across the top, it's attendees, topics, decisions, that's the star. Check mark is the actions, and the photo is the photograph. Now all these are editable, so I can go here and I can click on that, and I can say this is David Sifry. So I can put David here. I can put on the topic we talked about, the calendar view. And then we talked about the details. And then we can have the action item was to send video. You don't have to do this, and in fact, if you mark at the end, it'll actually do it for you. You can have this transcribed, and you can put the photograph in here. When you're all done, then what you can do is you can hit the pause button, and it'll stop it, or you can hit stop, and it'll actually say the meeting is complete here. If I hit play, then it starts playing there. And if I hit calendar, it'll switch to that spot. If I hit details, it'll go 7 seconds, 14 seconds, 25 seconds, and I can hit play right from where it's at. And I can even add meeting moments even during play. So not only can I mark the audio during the meetings, I can mark the audio while I'm playing it as well. When I'm all done with that, I go to the next thing. If you notice, there's 3 little dots down here. The first one is this timeline view. I can then go over here and say this was a meeting for IM Virtual, so I can go to IMV, and I can say it was a demo. And then if I go to the next one, I can say I don't want to do the entire meeting, and I don't want to do all the bookmarks. I just want to do the topics, and I want to do the actions. And then I hit submit, and hit yes, and it submits it up to the server. So that's how the meeting works. That file gets transferred up to the server, the transcription gets done, and then you'll get a meeting report back at you. You'd ask me about kind of where we're going with this thing, so a couple things that we're doing extra on it. So one of the things is in the next release we're actually adding 2 cool things. One of them is that you can set a meeting that it'll automatically start recording. So if you have a meeting at 10 o'clock, you can say this is a meeting I want recorded, and at 10 o'clock it just turns the recorder on and starts recording. It'll go all the way through the end of that meeting, and at the end of that meeting it actually throws a dialog up and says, hey, do you want to stop recording? And if you don't respond in 2 minutes, then it'll actually stop recording. If you do respond, it'll just keep on going for it. It does that every hour, actually. The other one we're doing is the one you and me were talking about, which is kind of a DVR for your life. So it's actually recording all the time. You can go up to an hour. We don't know where we're going to shut that off. There's no limit to us. The way we do it, we can do it as long as we want to. But essentially, it's recording all the time, and if you go back and go, oh shoot, I wish I would have recorded this, you can say, no, I want a meeting right now, and you should start at 11 o'clock or 30 minutes ago, whatever. And it'll go back and start picking all that recording up as the meeting, and then you can put your meeting moments and things like that. We call those things meeting moments, those actions and the decisions and things to that effect. So that's kind of what we've got done. All of that will be done on release. After release, we're adding 2 additional things, which are essentially the presentation, where we're going to make it so that, as you change the slide in the PowerPoint presentation, it'll automatically mark that in the timeline. And then the last thing you and me had talked about, where we're going to have the kind of peer-to-peer network where we have 5 or 6 people and we all record a single file, and it will know that this stream came from David, and this one came from Jack, and this one came from Becky. So that'll give you a feel for it. Anyhow, I hope that was helpful. I'm going to check the audio all the way through this time, make sure it recorded. Have a good one. Bye-bye.